Now in science I can recommend, I've got a couple of textbooks there that I'll show in a second, but I could recommend two authors that are good just because they're enjoyable, and it kind of gives you a broad overview of the different areas of science, because they mention things here and there and there, and it gives you interesting avenues to travel down and study further on your own. But first you need basic information about reality. And reading these two authors is a really good way to get a broad scope of information. Really good, interesting authors. Carl Sagan. My favorite book of his is Cosmos. Oh, hello, Leonard. And I've read Cosmos twice through and loved every bit of it. I might have read it 3 times now. So Carl Sagan is good. Just grab 1 or 2 of his books and make that a science assignment for homeschooling. And that's, like I said, it's just a frivolous reading to get him interested in stuff. That's not a textbook. The textbook I'll get to in a second. Now, if that Carl Sagan fun stuff is okay, if you can handle that, a little deeper and more technical is Richard Dawkins, who's recently written some pretty good books too. This is one of his older ones, The Blind Watchmaker, where he talks about how our bodies biologically are really not very well designed. If you're going to design an eyeball, this would be a really bad way to do it. But if evolution was going to come up with an eyeball, it would basically have to do it this way, with a photovoltaic cell at the center or whatever it is. So he goes through the fact that, you know, that God's been called the watchmaker, a great watchmaker who made this universe and all the intricacies in it. And Richard Dawkins says if he's a watchmaker, he's blind because this is a mess. This is a good book, and he's got lots of other good books in science. Richard Dawkins and Carl Sagan in science. And then 2 textbooks you can go through. And they get technical. This one here is A History of Science by Dampier. And when it gets into the 19th century physics, it starts getting heavily technical. So up to about page 200, it's really reading for the layman. It's a really good history. And even after that, if he likes science and math, if he's into science and math, after that's no problem at all either. So Dampier, D-A-M-P-I-E-R, A History of Science. And The Major Achievements of Science, The Development of Science from Ancient Times to the Present, by A.E.E. McKinsey. And if those 2 on science, I mean, he could go through both of those in a couple of months, or you could do it in detail and take 2 years maybe on that. And then you have to do studying in the various branches themselves individually. But I'm saying we're starting this person's education. I assume if you're going to take him out of public school, he's been in public school, which means, you know, he doesn't really know very much. I didn't learn anything in public schools except what I taught myself while I was there. I mean, a little, teeny, tiny bit. Anyways, if that bit of science doesn't do you, there's a more technical one you can do. A History of Science in Western Civilization in 3 volumes. This will cost you a little more, probably $10 or $15 per volume. So you're looking at $50-60. But it's in 3 volumes, and the first one is Antiquity in the Middle Ages, then the Scientific Revolution, Galileo and company, and then Modern Science from 1700 to 1900. 3 excellent, more academic, a little more academic than these others. But there's a bunch in science. So I got you going in science, I got you going in history. Mathematics, you just got to take the kid from where he's at. And literature, find something interesting to read. I hope these things help. And this is one of the reasons that I'm on YouTube, because there are, you know, it's just the thought there are people out there and all you have to do is reach them. Any way to reach them. Any way to reach them. You know? I'm glad to have this opportunity to hopefully give you some guidance, even if you just buy 1 or 2 of these books and read a little bit of them. If you withdraw them from school and do the whole curriculum, it's fabulous. Tell me how it goes.